Hello, and welcome once again to Mr. Spike's Bedtime Stories. This week I have a double bill for you from the House of Apprehension. Two Tales of Wonder by Edward John Moreton Drax Plunkett, better known as Lord Dunsany. Firstly, why the milkman shudders when he perceives the dawn.
Welcome to the House of Apprehension. Please have a seat. Make yourself comfortable. Enjoy your favorite beverage. And brace yourselves for our thrilling presentation.
In the hall of the ancient company of milkmen, round the great fireplace at the end, when the winter logs are burning and all the craft are assembled, they tell today, as their grandfathers told before them, why the milkman shudders when he perceives the dawn. When dawn comes creeping over the edges of hills, peers through the tree trunks making wonderful shadows, touches the tops of tall columns of smoke going up from awakening cottages in the valleys, and breaks all golden over Kentish fields, when going on tiptoe thence it comes to the walls of London, and slips all shyly up those gloomy streets, the milkman perceives it and shudders. A man may be a milkman's working apprentice, may know what borax is and how to mix it, yet not for that is the story told to him. There are 5 men alone that tell that story, 5 men appointed by the master of the company, by whom each place is filled as it falls vacant, and if you do not hear it from one of them, you hear the story from no one, and so can never know why the milkman shudders when he perceives the dawn. It is the way of one of these 5 men, greybeards all and milkmen from infancy, to rub his hands by the fire when the great logs burn, and to settle himself more easily in his chair, perhaps to sip some drink far other than milk, then to look round to see that none are there to whom it would not be fitting the tale should be told, and looking from face to face, and seeing none but the men of the ancient company, and questioning mutely the rest of the 5 with his eyes, if some of the 5 be there, and receiving their permission, to cough and to tell the tale. And a great hush falls in the hall of the ancient company, and something about the shape of the roof and the rafters makes the tale resonant all down the hall, so that the youngest hears it far away from the fire, and knows, and dreams of the day when perhaps he will tell himself why the milkman shudders when he perceives the dawn. Not as one tells some casual fact is it told, nor is it commented on from man to man, but it is told by that great fire only and when the occasion and the stillness of the room and the merit of the wine and the profit of all seem to warrant it in the opinion of the 5 deputed men. Then does one of them tell it, as I have said, not heralded by any master of ceremonies, but as though it arose out of the warmth of the fire before which his knotted hands would chance to be. Not a thing learned by rote, but told differently by each teller, and differently according to his mood. Yet never has one of them dared to alter its salient points. There is none so base among the company of milkmen. The company of powderers for the face know of this story and have envied it, the worthy company of chin-barbers, and the company of whiskerers, but none have heard it in the milkmen's hall, through whose wall no rumour of the secret goes, and though they have invented tales of their own, antiquity mocks them. This mellow story was ripe with honourable years when milkmen wore beaver hats. Its origin was still mysterious when smocks were the vogue. Men asked one another when Stuarts were on the throne, and only the ancient company knew the answer, why the milkman shudders when he perceives the dawn. It is all for envy of this tale's reputation that the company of powderers for the face have invented the tale that they too tell of an evening, why the dog barks when he hears the step of the baker. And because probably all men know that tale, the company of the powderers for the face have dared to consider it famous. Yet it lacks mystery, and is not ancient, is not fortified with classical allusion, has no secret lore, and is common to all who care for an idle tale, and shares with the Wars of the Elves, the calf-butcher's tale, and the story of the Unicorn and the Rose, which is the tale of the company of horse-drivers, their obvious inferiority. But unlike all these tales so new to time, and many another that the last 2 centuries tell, the tale that the milkmen tell ripples wisely on, so full of quotation from the profoundest writers, so full of recondite allusion, so deeply tinged with all the wisdom of man, and instructive with the experience of all times, that they hear it in the milkman's hall as they interpret allusion after allusion, and trace obscure quotation, lose idle curiosity, and forget to question why the milkman shudders when he perceives the dawn. You also, O my reader, give not yourself up to curiosity. Consider of how many it is the bane. Would you, to gratify this, tear away the mystery from the milkmen's hall, and wrong the ancient company of milkmen? Would they, if all the world knew it, and it became a common thing to tell that tale any more that they have told for the last 400 years? Rather a silence would settle upon their hall, and a universal regret for the ancient tale and the ancient winter evenings. And though curiosity were a proper consideration, yet even then this is not the proper place, nor the proper occasion for the tale. For the proper place is only the milkmen's hall, and the proper occasion only when logs burn well and when wine has been deeply drunken, then when the candles were burning well in long rows down to the dimness, down to the darkness and the mystery that lie at the end of the hall. Then were you one of the company, and were I one of the 5, would I rise from my seat by the fireside, and tell you with all the embellishments that it has gleaned from the ages that story that is the heirloom of the milkmen. And the long candles would burn lower and lower, and gutter away till they liquefied in their sockets, and draughts would blow from the shadowy end of the hall, stronger and stronger, till the shadows came after them. And still I would hold you with that treasured story, not by any wit of mine, but all for the sake of its glamour and the times out of which it came. One by one the candles would flare and die, and when all were gone, by the light of ominous sparks, when each milkman's face looks fearful to his fellow, you would know, as now you cannot, why the milkman shudders when he perceives the dawn. This next story is called The Wonderful Window.
Welcome to the House of Apprehension. Please have a seat. Make yourself comfortable. Enjoy your favorite beverage. And brace yourselves for our thrilling presentation.
The old man in the oriental-looking robe was being moved on by the police, and it was this that attracted to him and the parcel under his arm the attention of Mr. Sladen, whose livelihood was earned in the emporium of Messrs. Mergin and Chatter, that is to say, in their establishment. Mr. Sladen had the reputation of being the silliest young man in business. A touch of romance, a mere suggestion of it, would send his eyes gazing away as though the walls of the emporium were of gossamer, and London itself a myth, instead of attending to customers. Merely the fact that the dirty piece of paper that wrapped the old man's parcel was covered with Arabic writing was enough to give Mr. Sladen the idea of romance, and he followed until the little crowd fell off, and the stranger stopped by the curb and unwrapped his parcel and prepared to sell the thing that was inside it. It was a little window in old wood with small panes set in lead. It was not much more than a foot in breadth, and was under 2 feet long. Mr. Sladen had never before seen a window sold in the street, so he asked the price of it. "Its price is all you possess," said the old man. "Where did you get it?" said Mr. Sladen, for it was a strange window. "I gave all that I possessed for it in the streets of Baghdad." "Did you possess much?" said Mr. Sladen. "I had all that I wanted," he said, "except this window." "It must be a good window," said the young man. "It is a magical window," said the old one. "I have only 10 shillings on me, but I have 15 and 6 at home." The old man thought for a while. "Then 25 and 6pence is the price of the window," he said. It was only when the bargain was completed and the 10 shillings paid, and the strange old man was coming for his 15 and 6 and to fit the magical window into his only room, that it occurred to Mr. Sladen's mind that he did not want a window. And then they were at the door of the house in which he rented a room, and it seemed too late to explain. The stranger demanded privacy when he fitted up the window, so Mr. Sladen remained outside the door at the top of a little flight of creaky stairs. He heard no sound of hammering. And presently the strange old man came out with his faded robe and his great beard and his eyes on far-off places. "It is finished," he said, and he and the young man parted. And whether he remained a spot of colour and an anachronism in London, or whether he ever came again to Baghdad, and what dark hands kept on the circulation of his 25 and 6, Mr. Sladen never knew. Mr. Sladen entered the bare-boarded room in which he slept, and spent all his indoor hours between closing time and the hour in which Messrs. Mergin and Chatter commenced. To the Penates of so dingy a room, his neat frock-coat must have been a continual wonder. Mr. Sladen took it off and folded it carefully, and there was the old man's window, rather high up in the wall. There had been no window in that wall hitherto, nor any ornament at all but a small cupboard, so when Mr. Sladen had put his frock-coat safely away, he glanced through his new window. It was where his cupboard had been in which he kept his tea-things. They were all standing on the table now. When Mr. Sladen glanced through his new window, it was late in a summer's evening. The butterflies some while ago would have closed their wings, though the bat would scarcely yet be drifting abroad. But this was in London. The shops were shut, and street lamps not yet lighted. Mr. Sladen rubbed his eyes, then rubbed the window, and still he saw a sky of blazing blue, and far, far down beneath him, so that no sound came up from it or smoke of chimneys, a medieval city set with towers, brown roofs and cobbled streets, and then white walls and buttresses, and beyond them bright green fields and tiny streams. On the towers archers lolled, and along the walls were pikemen, and now and then a waggon went down some old-world street, and lumbered through the gateway and out to the country. And now and then a waggon drew up to the city from the mist that was rolling with evening over the fields. Sometimes folks put their heads out of lattice windows. Sometimes some idle troubadour began to sing, and nobody hurried or troubled about anything. Airy and dizzy though the distance was, for Mr. Sladen seemed higher above the city than any cathedral gargoyle, yet one clear detail he obtained as a clue. The banners, floating from every tower over the idle arches, had little golden dragons, all over a pure white field. He heard motor buses roar by his other window. He heard the newsboys howling. Mr. Sladen grew dreamier than ever after that on the premises, in the establishment of Messrs. Mergin and Chatter. But in one matter he was wise and wakeful. He made continuous and careful inquiries about the golden dragons on a white flag, and talked to no one of his wonderful window. He came to know the flags of every king in Europe. He even dabbled in history. He made inquiries at shops that understood heraldry, but nowhere could he learn any trace of little dragons or on a field argent. And when it seemed that for him alone those golden dragons had fluttered, he came to love them, as an exile in some desert might love the lilies of his home, or as a sick man might love swallows when he cannot easily live to another spring. As soon as Messrs. Mergin and Chatter closed, Mr. Sladen used to go back to his dingy room and gaze through the wonderful window until it grew dark in the city, and the guard would go with a lantern round the ramparts, and the night came up like velvet, full of strange stars. Another clue he tried to obtain one night by jotting down the shapes of the constellations, but this led him no further, for they were unlike any that shone on either hemisphere. Each day, as soon as he woke, he went first to the wonderful window, and there was the city, diminutive in the distance, all shining in the morning, and the golden dragons dancing in the sun, and the archers stretching themselves or swinging their arms on the tops of the windy towers. The window would not open, so that he never heard the songs that the troubadours sang down there beneath the gilded balconies. He did not even hear the belfry's chimes, though he saw the jackdaws routed every hour from their homes. And the first thing that he always did was to cast his eye round all the little towers that rose up from the ramparts, to see that the little golden dragons were flying there on their flags. And when he saw them flaunting themselves on white folds from every tower against the marvellous deep blue of the sky, he dressed contentedly, and taking one last look, went off to his work with a glory in his mind. It would have been difficult for the customers of Messrs. Mergin and Chatter to guess the precise ambition of Mr. Sladen as he walked before them in his neat frock coat. It was that he might be a man-at-arms or an archer, in order to fight for the little golden dragons that flew on a white flag for an unknown king in an inaccessible city. At first Mr. Sladen used to walk round and round the mean street that he lived in, but he gained no clue from that, and soon he noticed that quite different winds blew below his wonderful window from those that blew on the other side of the house. In August the evenings began to grow shorter. This was the very remark that the other employees made to him at the Emporium, so that he almost feared that they suspected his secret, and he had much less time for the wonderful window, for lights were few down there, and they blinked out early. One morning, late in August, just before he went to business, Mr. Sladen saw a company of pikemen running down the cobbled road towards the gateway of the medieval city. Golden Dragon City, he used to call it, alone in his mind, but never spoke of it to anyone. The next thing that he noticed was that the archers were handling round bundles of arrows in addition to the quivers which they wore. Heads were thrust out of windows more than usual. A woman ran out and called some children indoors. A knight rode down the street, and then more pikemen appeared along the walls, and all the jackdaws were in the air. In the street no troubadour sang. Mr. Sladen took one look along the towers to see that the flags were flying and all the golden dragons were streaming in the wind. Then he had to go to business. He took a bus back that evening and ran upstairs. Nothing seemed to be happening in Golden Dragon City except a crowd in the cobbled street that led down to the gateway. The archers seemed to be reclining, as usual, lazily in their towers. And then a white flag went down with all its golden dragons. He did not see at first that all the archers were dead. The crowd was pouring towards him, towards the precipitous wall from which he looked. Men with a white flag covered with golden dragons were moving backwards slowly. Men with another flag were pressing them, a flag on which there was one huge red bear. Another banner went down upon a tower. Then he saw it all. The golden dragons were being beaten, his little golden dragons. The men of the bear were coming under the window. Whatever he threw from that height would fall with terrific force. Fire irons, coal, his clock, whatever he had, he would fight for his little golden dragons yet. A flame broke out from one of the towers and licked the feet of a reclining archer. He did not stir. And now the alien standard was out of sight directly underneath. Mr. Sladen broke the panes of the wonderful window and wrenched away with a poker the lead that held them. Just as the glass broke, he saw a banner covered with golden dragons fluttering still, and then, as he drew back to hurl the poker, there came to him the scent of mysterious spices, and there was nothing there, not even the daylight, for behind the fragments of the wonderful window was nothing but that small cupboard in which he kept his tea-things. And though Mr. Sladen is older now, and knows more of the world, and even has a business of his own, he has never been able to buy such another window, and has not ever since, either from books or men, heard any rumour at all of Golden Dragon City.